What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. Sheets was at the live final. Then he's gone for, I believe, until either Tuesday night or Wednesday. But he did not take it down, unfortunately. Did take it down some other tournaments, as he always tends to do. But that was unfortunately did not take down the live final. But congrats to him for getting there. Hope he had a great time. Look forward to catching up with him when he gets back. Going to jump into this slate in just a minute. I wanted to remind everybody that MLB is starting on Thursday. I'm pumped. I'm excited. We've got all the MLB content. It won't just be Sheets and I. We've got a group of people who are going to be coming in and doing different shows with us, as well as people who are going to be doing different write-ups, things like that. So, obviously the incredible tools from PayDirt. We're very thrilled to have partnered with them, as well as SaberSim. So we really feel like we have a unique offering. All of Sheets and Goldie's projections have been awesome. I know I always say for NBA, it's really hard to use them because the up to the minute stuff after lock is really tricky, but for them to stay updated. But baseball, you don't have to worry. So I would encourage people for baseball really be using Goldie and Sheets' projections. We know how good they were last year. We know how good they've been in every sport this year, and I really, really would encourage everybody to check it out. So with that said, I'm going to jump into this slate. I do want to remind everybody our prices are going up in a couple weeks. So really, instead of a promo, now is our cheapest what these offerings will be. We will have some other offerings that we don't currently have, but I think it's worthwhile to if you're interested, and if you're especially if you're like a somewhat serious player who plays regularly, I think that you should really take a look at the packages we're offering. We're just a little more than SaberSim, and we are offering a bunch of other stuff as well. And we would love for you guys to come and join and be a part of it. We couldn't be happier. We've got a great team, and combined with the SaberStim alone, not to mention the TrueDFS, I'm sorry, the PayDirt stuff. I think it's really, really awesome. So I hope you guys are able to take a look at it when you get a chance. All right, let's get into it. We're gonna go right there. Jesse says number one. Did Jesse win? Who won the FanDuel Live final? I did not see who won the live final. I stopped watching when I saw that Anthony Edwards did not exactly have his best Anthony Edwards game for Sheets. So I don't know who won the live final, but if that's what he's referring to, congrats to him or whoever did win the live final. Shout out to them. It's an awesome thing. Tough to do. I've been to some live finals. I've come in top 5 in some live finals, and mostly they're the smaller ones. But I stopped trying to play them very much anymore because I feel like the rate gets kind of weird when you factor in all the experience stuff, which is great. It's a great experience. If you haven't done it before, do it. But for me, I'm focusing more on trying to make money, trying to keep making money this year. Been a little bit of a struggle lately with NBA and PGA, but we're gonna get it back. You know how these things go; they come in waves. Have had some good chances. Need to close on them a little bit better, and hopefully we can do some work. So let's get into it, going game by game. And I'm just gonna. You guys know how I do this. I go through the slates and say the things I like, but I also like to talk about the things that I think the projections might be a little off. And we do have Goldie's morning projections, which again, valuable as a Sheets and Goldie's projections for NBA, I do think are a very valuable reference point when I feel like there's players that are being maybe a little over or under projected in certain cases. I do find that often that Sheets and Goldie's projections will sort of lean more with me with my instinctual thoughts sometimes. So interesting to note, and especially early in the day, it's always hard. The projections are going to change. There's obviously going to be some injury news that we haven't figured out yet, but we have a fairly healthy Lakers team. Okay. I think this is weird because, they just got pummeled the other night at home by the Bulls. Shout out to nearly the first quadruple double in a very long time. We had a chance there for Josh Giddey, who put up like 7 million fantasy points, and almost had the quadruple double, 2 steals away. But was a pretty awesome game that he had. The Bulls looked really good. They couldn't miss, and the Lakers, just that you're going to have some down games here and there. I think if you want to blitz and run on the Lakers, it gives you a pretty good chance against my Lakers here. They're just not quite ready for all of it. They don't have athletes at every single position that's really deep. What they can do is control the pace and control the slowing down of the game. Just they couldn't the other night against the Bulls because the Bulls were just hitting everything and just firing away. Anyway, that's my long story. I don't really have a lot of interest in the Lakers side tonight. Orlando's obviously a pace down matchup. I do always like to bring up my pace screen, and maybe I'll just bring it over here just so we can see. This is the last 10. I think it's much more important to think about the last 10 than it is the overall. Again, everybody's playing different times of the year. You'll see the game we're getting to in a minute with the Wizards and Raptors, who are playing at the 3rd and 5th highest pace respectively. But we can see right here, we go all the way down, and we see Orlando at 24, and we see the Lakers right in the middle there at 16. So not really like a great pace-up spot for the Lakers. I do think the Lakers have some defensive holes that they have. It's weird. They were awesome defensively for a while, and to my shock and everyone's. And now we get over to to the other night against the Bulls and literally looked like the worst defensive team in NBA history. So hard to know. Wendell Carter, we've seen him better a little bit lately. I do think that there's some upside for him. I played him the other night at really low ownership, and he was the one who gave me a chance in my big buy, and I still didn't quite get there, but he had a big game. It is a good matchup, obviously, for bigs against the Lakers. I also like the idea of getting to one of Paolo or Franz, but there's a lot of plays on the slate. But I think I'm doing something with Orlando. So I have Orlando as a team that I'm considering boosting up. And then we have to see what's happening with Cole Anthony. And you can see they kind of hedged his projection here as if maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. But as of right now, we're not really sure what to do with it. So I think Orlando the top three guys might even look a little bit better by the end of the day. And we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with Cole Anthony. And even if he does play, though, I do think the big two from Orlando with Wendell Carter are kind of interesting today. Again, Minnesota is the kind of team. Again, you talk about this is probably a little bit surprising to most. Indy's playing the 9th fastest pace. Now, we've seen them be the fastest paced team for the last couple of years, most of the seasons. Not as much this year, but it's still a bump up matchup for Minnesota. I like the idea to get to a little bit of this. I think Naz Reid is an interesting tournament dart. I think that, these are games they really need to win. I'm guessing Edwards plays. He tends to play when he's questionable. And I think Edwards is a very strong play. I think that Julius Randle would be my next favorite. But I think it's worth considering Mike Conley for value at 3,700. People tend to not want to do it. 3,700 is cheap enough. We've seen, 2 out of his last 3, he was over 25. Obviously, we would take that at 3,700. Just going to depend on how builds go and what kind of value we get later in the day. But I think that Conley is kind of interesting at low ownership. Nice, Jesse. Good to hear. All right, moving over to Indiana here. So I actually think that in these, look, Indiana's in these just kind of must-win territory for these teams, which I kind of like. I have Mathurin and Halliburton as my tournament darts. I don't know that I end up with any of it, but I did want to throw that out. You could say Miles Turner in this matchup if he's, just like theoretically, okay. If you're gonna have one side in Minnesota with a guy who's not going to come out on you at the 3-point line in Gobert, I think that you could argue that that's an edge for Turner here to at least get the opportunity to get hot. So Miles Turner goes on my list. Nothing glaring for this one, but he is a guy I'm considering, and Halliburton and Mathurin are my other two. This is the game where I think that we could get a lot out of it. As I mentioned, 3rd and 5th in pace over the last 10. Obviously, neither good defensively either. We have so much information. It would be foolish for me to try to break down RJ Barrett doubtful, Agbaji doubtful. The projections have not gone away on them yet. I tried to start the show a little bit later this morning so we could have some more news. We don't officially. We also have Quickly and Podol questionable. So we may end up playing all of the Toronto tonight. We may just be playing some of it. It's up in the air, but my guess is you're going to end up with a good amount of Toronto because I don't think that, Barrett and Agbaji are probably not going to play. If Podol and Quickly sit as well, then we've got Scotty Barnes and a bunch of other stuff that we can get value on. Now, they have been raised a little bit, the prices, because we've seen a lot of guys resting for Toronto, but still, I think it's interesting. Oddly, a pretty clean injury report. Still wouldn't surprise me if they announced it during the day that somebody's out. Poole has been bad. He's been up and down. Like he's Jordan Poole. I like Sarr here. I like Sarr, Poole. Smart, I always have a hard time because I'm not sure. It's a very similar play to me to the Conley, except for Conley, they're still playing for something. But at the same time, they don't often use Conley in their best rotations. So Marcus Smart, I think we're going to end up getting some game stacks by accident even over here. Middleton's cheap enough, but Sarr and Poole are the ones I'm the highest on, along with AJ Johnson. And then I go to Smart and Middleton as of right now, subject to change. I think Carrington also has some upside, and I really liked what I've seen from Kaishan George as a real life player lately. I think he's got a bright future in the NBA, but not DFS worthy today. Just some little nuggets. All right, is he coming back? Is Anthony Davis going to come back, and we're going to see the weirdest first one? Are they going to make a run in the play-in and somehow get the 8 seed? I don't think so, but let's say they did. It's kind of an interesting matchup if they can get healthier. And again, it's kind of interesting. No matter who plays, OKC is probably in bad shape, except for maybe the Clippers. Actually, I think the Clippers match up really well, and right now they currently are in the 8 spot or 7 spot, I believe. I can't remember actually. I think they're in the 7 spot, but that would put them still in position to be the 7 or the 8. Anyway, for Dallas favored. Again, without AD, it's going to be hard to know what to do. Now, if AD is out, I think we can go back to PJ Washington in what should be a competitive game. I think that obviously this is going to show they want to kind of make the playoffs. So I think we focus on the better plays here. But I think mostly it'd be PJ Washington. Maybe we get to a little bit of Brandon Williams or Dinwiddie. But as of right now, we need to know what's happening with AD and exactly how healthy he will be. And maybe we'll get some sort of minutes idea on him throughout the day. We'll be live at 6 Eastern to cover that. But as of right now, really hard to know what's happening there. Brooklyn side, Dallas has been a pretty good matchup this part of the year, but I'm fine. This is one of those teams where I tend to leave alone outside of maybe occasionally if they look too popular, I'll drop their projections. We do have no D'Angelo Russell, no Cam Thomas. So Zaire Williams is always completely in play. I could actually argue, I think you could argue his projection between 22 and 26. They've got him at, Saberson's got him at 24 and Goldie's got him a little lower. But I do think that there's upside for this on Williams. I actually think this projection might raise throughout the day. A little bit of interest in Claxton, especially if no AD. In fact, even if there is AD, we've seen him give up a lot of fantasy points to centers. But Claxton and Sharp are two guys who I'm kind of interested in. Other than that, I'm probably just letting it give me what it gives me. There's plenty of changes I'm going to make, but I feel like that with Brooklyn a lot. They tend to play a lot of guys mid to high 20s minutes, and it's hard to figure that one out. All right, again, hard to break down Yabusele once he's out. What does that mean to the average man, as Sheets would always say? Look at this injury report. It's crazy. I think we might be talking Chuma Okeke quite a bit tonight. My guess is that we do. So I am on board with it. I'm on board with some Edwards, with some Doughton, and I'm on board with. I did drop Edwards' price, projections a little bit. It felt like it was. I've been the one bumping it up every day because I've liked Edwards maybe more than the rest of people have. But Edwards, Okeke, Doughton, I think are all going to look pretty good, as well as look, guys, they finally got Quentin Grimes' projection over 40 fantasy points. I don't know what took so long. Is it maybe the fact that he just does it every single game? But now we have at least more of an accurate idea of his. I still think it's low. So I'm probably going to end up with a decent amount of Grimes tonight. I think there is upside. It's just a matter of whether the game can stay close. And this is a game they may be able to stay close in. So I'm interested in that. Obviously, lots of injury news. None more important than Zion, who's been awesome when he's played, has not played very much. Kelly Olynyk would be great if no Zion, and potentially even with Zion, and even with Missy. But if any two are out, then Missy, Olynyk both look great. And then we get into Jeremiah Robinson Earl as value, depending on who's out. Just really hard to analyze this early. Either way, going to like Alvarado some, and I am going to probably bump the projection up of Jordan Hawkins. I'm curious where the projection ends up on him, but I like him even coming off the bench. He's a shooter. I know he's going to give me a chance to score against a Porter team that doesn't rotate well. I think that's an opportunity for Hawkins. He hits a couple threes and then decides to keep chucking. You might get that 30 fantasy point game out of him. I think he's firmly in play. So probably a lot of action. At first look, Washington and Toronto, Philadelphia and New Orleans feel like places we're going to want to be as sort of like a staple for this slate. Probably multiples from both. Chicago and Denver. These aren't bad projections. It's just I'm a little surprised that there's not more ownership on some of the cheap guys. I guess maybe because it's spread out. I have some interest in Buzelis. Giddey has been awesome, so I'm not going to ignore that one either. I think Vucevic, though, look, you got DeAndre Jordan potentially on the other side. So I'm a little bit interested in these Bulls tonight. It's the last game of the slate. Obviously, we can always make some changes as with the late swap. And again, as I remind everybody every day for NBA, we're not going to have to worry about it as much. It is optimal in MLB to late swap as much as you can up to the minute. But it's not the same thing like it is NBA, where you absolutely have to give yourself a fighting chance in general. I think it's just you're just playing from behind if you don't with NBA. Unless maybe you're playing one lineup and then you're just editing one guy, but still you got to always be vigilant of the news. So as of right now, I don't know what to do with some of this value. I probably will bump it up just because it'll allow me to delay at the very least. There are some good first games, as I mentioned, but you never know what information comes out after lock, as we see every day. Information does. Giddey, high price, been worth it. I think worth going back there. Probably a little lower on Herter for me in the field. Do like Vucevic. I think that they're playing for real things now. Vucevic's minutes there. I think there's upside on that 29. So I think if we don't hear anything about it, him being fine to go as many minutes as whatever, I think Vucevic might be a really interesting play here against what should be a pretty weakened front Denver front line with no Jokic. All right, DeAndre Jordan. This is I don't want to say the elephant in the room. One, I think the projection's too high on him by SaberSim. I lowered it a bunch. I'm not giving him 9x here automatically. In fact, I'm not even sure that he ends up getting the bulk of the minutes. I think there's a chance for Nnaji. I think there's a chance for Watson. Vooch historically has struggled more with smaller defenders. And Orlando's trying to win. So I'm sorry, Denver's trying to win. So I definitely think we want to do that. Now, however, on the Denver side of things, you can tell, I don't care what the projection is. Westbrook is going to be higher owned by me. I'm just going to make this already clear. I am not keeping Westbrook at a third. I think he's got much more upside here. I'm not saying that that's not a reasonable median, but I think that there is so much upside for him. I think there's a ton of upside and Murray's already going to be in your lineups. Just bumping these guys up a little bit. And remember, we can shift along the way, bumping up the Michael Porter Jr., bumping up Braun, just all a little bit. It's not that their projections are wrong. I just would like to be over the field this situation myself. One I will leave is Aaron Gordon. I could actually argue to drop him down a tiny bit. I don't think it has to be, they've got SaberSim's got him at 36.5. Goldie's got him at that 35, almost 36. So pretty close. But I am going to drop DeAndre Jordan. I'm probably going to bump Peyton Watson, even though I don't think I'm going to end up getting to him. And I'm going to bump this a little bit as well. I do think that there's not just one way to play this game, and I don't think that it has to be DeAndre Jordan. So I'm going to try to be underweight the field on that. Now, if it burns me, it burns me. So be it. I just don't think we have to assume that he's going to all of a sudden, I just don't think we need to assume this. Doesn't feel right to me, something about it. So he's not that he hasn't had some decent games, just it's probably not for me. Anyway, that's a first look. We will be live at 6 Eastern with a much more fine-tuned. Then we are going to go into Discord and talk about everything I'm doing exactly with late building, who I prefer over what. Lately hasn't been the most effective because I haven't been on my top game. Been trying. Just sometimes you go through these stretches of the NBA season, and we have the $1 million tournament next week to hopefully close out the season in a big way. But I want to get after today. I want to make some more money and close this season strong. We went through an early rough patch. We got hot in the middle. And now we're hitting a little bit of a rough patch again. Maybe we can turn it around right by the end of the year. Hopefully y'all are doing better. I know that there's been some awesome winners from some of the pay dirt betting stuff. K9 Broncos stands out. Shout out to K9. Some of our members have really taken advantage of it in a major way. So I hope you guys are checking out all that pay dirt has to offer. And while I'm talking through this real quick, I'll just tell everybody, if you want to go to pay dirt, we have our pay dirt stuff up here. I don't want to give it away for free, so I'm just going to show you some of the different tool things, but you got the range of outcomes, and he's got it for every sport, obviously. But the pivot finder is extremely helpful for NBA. The betting models have been awesome. And then you get the projections as well. So awesome stuff from pay dirt. Really, really want you guys to check this stuff out. And yeah, with that said, good luck to everybody. Hit like on the way out. If there's any questions or any thoughts, I'll be in the premium Discord all the time and trying to help you guys become better players. Remember, our site, our whole thing is about transparency, and we want to make you better. I know that sounds corny or whatever. It is the truth. Neither Sheets nor I need to be doing this. In fact, we've never made a penny off of TrueDFS. I'm hoping that changes at some point. But we are putting everything back into the company and trying to improve the industry as a whole and improve our customers. Good luck. With that said, I just want to say good luck to everybody. And yeah, we'll see you live at 6 Eastern. Good luck, everybody.